Hello, everyone. Today is Wednesday, June 10th. Very, very important topic, like very. Cholesterol is not the enemy. And Dr. Shane's going to share a lot with us. But before we get started, we've got some bigger announcements. Especially, we're going to share a few little videos here tonight. Um, and I am going to share that until next Monday, we have free frankincense if you place a 125 PV order. Who doesn't want that to carry us over? Because our last free one was in December with a 200 PV order. And then love, if you get to know and understand and read up on rose, it is the queen of oils and Frank is the king of oils. So definitely we want to get those. And then this is the limited time. This is a brand new product down on the bottom. Hair and Body Mist, Endless Summer. There is three different ones. Endless Summer by itself, Endless Summer with the Pilot Diffuser, and then the Mist. So some great specials. And don't forget about these. These are incredible. I tried the hair and beard, Shinrin Yuku in my hair. Nice and shiny. And I took the paper off the bath bar last night and put it on Dale's site. I know I'll be sharing it, but it smelled just like amazing. And so the other two top ones, you've heard me each and every week, unless you're brand new, because the first one is 60% off Rose. It's my must and go-to every day. And then it's not really a Mother's Day trio. It is a small gift to have in a stash that when something goes upside down or you're thinking about someone and you miss someone or whatever it might be, you can share one of those three with someone special. Tomorrow night here at our home, babies and toddlers and essential oils. And if you're local, just come on in. We'd love to have you. And then we're going to do just a little bit about this. Dr. Brannock Riggs is coming for an unplugged, but during the day, it's incredible what we're going to have from 12:30 to 4:30. And I'm going to hopefully be able to play this and that it'll play just and let me know if you can all hear it. Um, Let me see if we can hear that, Killa. I am not hearing it. Is anybody hearing that?
Mom, click the the question mark on the speaker on the video.
Okay, let me see here.
Over. Yep, go back up.
There it is.
You get the opportunity to hear from the amazing PJ Hanks. She's going to be doing a training in the afternoon, right?
Therapy training from noon to 4. Well, get a certificate if you'd like. So you can do, there's actually 3 options. So you can do the home experience, you can do just the home therapy session, you do dinner and Dr. Riggs, or just Dr. Riggs. So I will be posting all of the details to let you know.
We're going to spend an evening just talking. We're just going to be talking about essential oils, how they can be helpful for us, how they can support our systems. And I love these evenings because it gets to be really just whatever the audience needs. It's a smaller group, which is amazing. And then we just get to talk, real talk, which is wonderful for us. So I'm so excited for this opportunity. I love doing these small events. I've been out with the team for a long time, many times, and I look forward to seeing you all there. It's fun to reconnect with old friends.
So people that don't know you, tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. Yeah, I practice clinical medicine. I'm a physician trained at University of Arizona, but trained in integrative medicine as well as traditional Western medicine. So I believe these two worlds can come together beautifully. And what I'm most passionate about is helping people understand that they have the power to help themselves, and then ideally they can help others as well. Because I think I've been given knowledge that I hope to pass on to other people. I hope they pass that knowledge on to others, and with that, we become this amazing force for good in the world. So these evenings are very important for me. I'll share this information.
So we want to attend.
Really, I mean, this is anyone who, number one, has concerns for themselves, but number two, may have some concerns for others around them, their neighbors, their friends, families. Please bring whoever you'd like to. I love talking to healthcare professionals as well. That's always an exciting experience for me to help kind of broaden horizons and open some eyes to some other things. So really it's open to anyone who's passionate about wellness.
If you pick this location, it's a central area, but it's not Minneapolis, about an hour drive in your direction. So feel free to join us. Let us know.
Look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you.
So that was Dr. Riggs, and wait till you hear what PJ has to say. Let me see if I can make that happen as well.
An aromatherapy 101 class that I'm teaching in Baldwin, Wisconsin next week, and I'm so excited, on June 17th. And so some people are asking me, what is aromatherapy? Why should I attend this class? Well, I love essential oils, and aromatherapy is simply the study of essential oils. And so in this 4-hour class, as a certified aromatherapist and an instructor for a naturopath program on aromatherapy, I'm going to teach you some of the basics. And yet it's the basics about chemistry, which isn't scary because I teach it in a really fun way. I'm going to teach you how to select oils based on their chemistry and not just because someone said you should use it. And I'm also going to share with you a little bit about distillation and how to know about quality of essential oils and why is that one drop of essential oil so powerful. We're going to talk a little bit about how essential oils work in the body. And so then we're going to get into how to blend essential oils. I know we love to blend, a lot of us, but there is a science to it, to making sure it always smells good and it has the therapeutic value that we want it to. So I'm going to make it fun. I'm going to make it as simple as I can. And yet this class is for the very new beginner with essential oils to a healthcare professional. So I hope you can join me, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Okay, they are both on Discovery Essentials, so feel free to go out there. And for whatever reason you don't find them, don't waste a lot of time. You'll all have my text number. Just text me and I will get that over to you. But that is next week, so there will not be class on the 17th because of this. So on the 23rd is forest bathing. And then on the 24th, Breathe Easy, some great ones here in town. And then the 24th, fascia, the missing piece of the pain puzzle with Joyce Day. Class will be great. We've had her a number of times. You've all enjoyed her, requested her back, so we're excited for that. This is also doTERRA's Master Club class from now until August 31st. You will see that if you enroll someone that's attending tonight's class, so that you share about this, here is what they're going to get. Take a picture of this, please. There's a lot out here. If you don't know of someone that's in Master Club and you want to get them all of these things, Breathe and the Citrus Bliss and these amazing things and frankincense, look at all of this. Please reach out to me, and I do have one of those because I'm in Master's Club. And I'm going to stop sharing, and I am so excited that not only is he an expert, he is also a doctor that we visit and honor and respect. And so without further ado, I am going to turn it over to Dr. Shane.
Awesome. Thank you, Sandy. Let me get this going here. Think we should be good. Okay. No, thank you guys for taking some time out of your night. I see there's almost 100 of you on here, so that is amazing. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Dr. Shane Heiser. My wife and I own a clinic in Osseo, Wisconsin, but we see patients all over the country. So one of the great things about today is with technology, we're able to expand that reach and really just help people everywhere. And that's our passion, is we want to educate people. We want to teach people how to take care of their body, how to lead a healthier life, and just take back control of their life and their health. And through that, we like to cover different topics. Tonight, it's going to be a big one, right? Cholesterol. So just like Sandy was talking about, this is a big topic. And my big goal tonight is, again, I want to teach you some different things. I want to break some myths out there. And I want to show you, what do the statistics really look like? Is our current approach really working? right? Because when we look at this, we have more medicine, we have more medications, we have more hospitals than ever before, yet we're still one of the sickest countries out there, right? So from our perspective, we got to start looking at things differently, okay? And like that, like it says there, it's time to look beyond just the numbers and uncover what's really at the root causes. And I like to point out there too, people say root cause. There's usually not one thing. There's usually multiple things that we got to start to look at. And so we're going to talk through that today. And again, if you guys have questions, would love to answer that. But it is a big topic and it affects a lot of different people. So let's get going with that. First thing is, how are we doing? Right? So we all know about cholesterol. We've heard it. We've heard about statins and the medications. How are we doing? Right? Because the number one killer in America is heart disease, right? That's why it's such a big topic when we talk about, okay, cholesterol, heart disease, all these different things. But even though we have all these different things, heart disease continues to be the number one killer of both men and women, continues to be, okay? And that's what we're talking about it, because really a statin medication is like atorvastatin is the number one revenue selling drug in history. Okay, we sold more of it than ever than any other medication, and this is exactly the reason, because heart disease is the number one killer. But for me, something doesn't add up, right? If heart disease is the number one killer and cholesterol is really the issue there, and statins are fixing our cholesterol, our quote unquote cholesterol issue, shouldn't the heart disease rate be going down, right? Those are the questions you need to be asking, because it's not, right? We're giving more and more statins. We're focusing on bringing cholesterol levels as low as we can, yet that heart disease risk still continues to go up. So again, something doesn't add up there. And the thing is, heart disease doesn't discriminate. It is about equal in men and women, slightly higher in men, but about 25% of people suffer from heart disease, and that's one of the main killers. So both men and women are affected. So here's another question for you. You might recognize the guy on the right, Bob, what's his name? Bob Barker, not Barker. That's the that's the one guy. But these guys, these two guys have something in common. Okay, I'll get his name in just a second. So this is John Warner. He is the president of the American Heart Association. What does it say there? American Heart Association president doing well after minor heart attack. He's the president of the American Heart Association. He shouldn't have a heart attack, right? He should have the healthiest heart in this country if he is the president of this, right? Something doesn't add up there. Okay, Bob Harper, that's it. Okay, I knew I was close. Bob Harper, right? This is the Biggest Loser guy, right? So he was on Biggest Loser, helped coach people to help lose weight, was a big staple in the fitness industry for health and wellness, things like that. And again, heart attack. Having a heart attack isn't healthy, right? So there's something going on. So again, things don't add up there. So this is where things start to go wrong, is because this is a patient that came to us who looked really fit, did a lot of things right, got really good scores. This was this test that he did every year through his work. Depending on the score you got, depends on how much of a discount on your health insurance and things like that that you got through your work and whatnot. And he always passed with flying colors. But he came to us saying like, hey, I'm 6 months from retiring. Something just doesn't feel right. Even though my numbers are good, even all these different things are going well, something's not quite right. He loved hunting, and he's like, I don't feel comfortable in a tree stand. Okay. Like I just feel like my balance gets off sometimes and different things like that. And when we started to dig deeper, right, and what you see here, he's got just a couple markers that they tested, majority of them cholesterol numbers in there, and triglycerides, and a couple other ones. But when we looked at it, we ran this test on him and we see all sorts of things off, right? Because when we look at a general test, they're looking at what are some markers that I can give a medication for, right? That's what they're really looking at to try to get that. But we got to start to dig deeper. We ended up figuring out what was going on with this guy, helped him out. Now he's retired, happy, hunting, fishing, doing all those things he loves every single day. But again, we got to start to dig deeper and really figure out what's at the root of our issue and not just look surface level at some of these things. So, how I like to describe what we do, some people call it functional medicine, different things like that. I don't practice medicine, right? So, I don't even like the term functional medicine. I really like to call it like health restoration, health coaching, and things like that. But when we look at something like, let's say, cholesterol, right? What is the medical field look at it as, right? They're there to give a medication. Okay. How do we lower that number? Here's the magic pill to make that happen. Okay. And I like to think about it as like your body is like a house, right? When we have these different things going on, again, whether it's a heart attack or cancer or hormone imbalances, whatever it may be, there's a fire. Okay. Now, the medical field is kind of like a fire department, right? They're there, they see a fire, they try to put the fire out. Okay. And that's not necessarily the wrong thing. There's a time and a place for everything. If you're in the middle of a heart attack, the medical field can save you, right? Those doctors have the tools to be able to save your life. But what's the plan afterwards, right? Are you asking the question, why did I have a heart attack in the first place? What's my plan to not let this come back or not happen again? Those are the questions you got to ask. Okay. So there's a time and a place for everything. When we look at, let's say, alternative medicine, they'll have the same mindset, right? They have the mindset of, my cholesterol level is high. I'm going to use natural things to try to lower it. Okay. That's what they're trying to do. But when we look at it, my question is, why is the cholesterol high in the first place? Because we really need to look other places, okay? Because there's got to be a reason why. Is there some sort of allergy? Is there some sort of hormonal imbalance? Is there an infection going on? Is there a toxin buildup? Is there leaky gut, right? Because you got to ask the question why. And you got to really think about, what is cholesterol and what does it do in the body? And when you start to figure those things out, things start to make a little bit more sense. Okay, so just a different approach. And when we look at this different approach, I like to show you research. What does the research actually show us with what we have been doing? Okay, and here is a example of high blood pressure, okay, which cholesterol in our arteries can contribute to. But we're looking at the four categories of, do we have normal blood pressure? Do we have high blood pressure? Are we on a medication for it, or are we not on a medication for it? And what the interesting thing that looks like, okay, is our health or cardiovascular risk for events is higher when we take a blood pressure medication than if we don't, no matter what your blood pressure level is. Because if you see the top two lines, right, whether you have normal blood pressure or high blood pressure, but if you're taking that medication, you have a higher risk of cardiovascular events if you don't. Even in the category of, I have high blood pressure, but I'm not taking a medication for it, okay? That's still lower chance of a heart event than if you are, right? And that seems backwards. Everybody's saying, well, if you have high blood pressure, you're at higher risk. According to the research, right? And this is a big research study, that's not true, okay? Not taking it puts you at less of a risk. And I'm not telling you to stop your medication. That's out of my scope of practice. I'm just telling you, here's what the research shows. The research shows, well, that's not necessarily true. And that's what we need to look at, right? We need to look at, is what we're practicing, is what we're doing actually making sense and actually working? Okay, so where did things start to go wrong? There's a guy named Ansel Keys. Way back in 1953, he was asked to do this study about cholesterol levels and fat in our diets and how they affected these different things. We started seeing this after the Great Depression, right? The Great Depression happened, a lot of things started to change, and we started to look at health and wellness and different things in a different perspective. We wanted to try to start to find answers for these heart disease and different things like that. And in his study, he found His conclusion was fat in the diet raises cholesterol levels. High cholesterol is the reason for a rise in heart disease. That's what he published, okay? And this was the graph that he used um, to prove that, okay? He saw, okay, well, the more fat calories in our diet, the higher the death rate, right? And you see this perfect curve. And this is what he published. But when you really look at what the chart looked like, this is what it looked like. Can you see some dots, extra dots that got omitted from the research, right? That does not look like that. Where's all the extra little dots in between those lines, right? So they kind of cherry picked some of these different points to make it look a certain direction, okay? And when we look there, I want you to look. United States is at the top, the tippy top, okay, of that. So again, one of the most unhealthy is actually us. And so we need to look at these things. But it's interesting because right after this happened and got published, there is this opportunity to make it go public. President Eisenhower had a heart attack, okay? And they said, oh, look at this research. Here's what's happening. It's all because of fat. It's all because of cholesterol. This is the big deal. What they didn't tell you is that he was a heavy chain smoker. He didn't eat well and he didn't take care of himself. Okay. They left that part out and they just said, well, look at this research. Here we go. Okay. So when we really look at the results, when we really look at the evidence, there's really no evidence that high cholesterol shortens our life. It's actually quite the opposite, which is interesting. Here's a long-term study started in 1966 on familial hypercholesterolemia. Hyper meaning high cholesterol that runs in families, okay? So when we looked at this study, they followed these families for decades. That's how we should do a study, right? It shouldn't be short term. We should look at how does this affect us over the lifespan? I want to show you here that it was a vast number. So 282 men, 244 women were studied in this over the course of quite a few years. People followed for 10 years. The average total cholesterol was 330. People look at the number and they go, oh my gosh, 330, that's so high. There was a 31% reduced rate of death compared to normal cholesterol levels. Normal. 31% reduced. So they were far less likely to have a cardiac event, to have heart issues than the people that had lower cholesterol. And they were 330. Okay. So again, going all the way back through here, they followed it up until like that 1991. Here is another study. 3,572 people were measured, okay? So we followed these people over 20 years. Increased mortality in those with low cholesterol levels was seen. Long-term low cholesterol increased risk of death. What was their interpretation? We've been unable to explain our results, right? This test proved the opposite of what they've been telling everybody. And when they got to the end, they're just like, we don't really know what to take of this. They didn't really want to accept the fact that maybe we're wrong. And it's actually the opposite of what we've been preaching and what we've been telling, right? But again, another long-term study that we followed a vast number of people and we actually see the opposite of what we're being tested. So what does this new thought need to look like, right? The goal should never be to simply just try to lower our cholesterol, okay? This approach can make you sick. It really can. I see this often in my practice. Cholesterol is important, and we'll talk about what that looks like. And again, you got to ask those deeper questions. What is going on? Okay, what is going on? It may surprise you, right? The American Heart Association, it may surprise you to hear that cholesterol itself isn't bad. In fact, cholesterol is just one of many substances created and used by our bodies to keep us healthy. They post this, yet all the other stuff they post disregards this. And it's so confusing because it's like they get it to some extent, but then what they practice is completely different. So these things aren't adding up, okay? Right? Cholesterol is a waxy substance that comes from two sources. Your body makes it. Why would it make something that would kill you? That doesn't make sense to me, right? Why would your body just continue to make that if it's a problem? Your body uses it in the liver to make cholesterol, circulates through the blood. You can also get it from food sources. Yes, you can, but it's actually a very small percentage that you get from your food, okay? Yes, if you eat higher fat and cholesterol foods, it can bring it up, but it's ever so slight. It's such a minimal impact through your food. Okay. What is doTERRA's definition? Cholesterol is an important lipid that comprises the cell membranes and myelin sheath and that plays a role in nerve cell function, right? Every cell membrane is made of cholesterol. Every cell in your body, trillions of cells are made of cholesterol. It's important. Okay. Your nerves are lined in something called a myelin sheath, which is cholesterol. Think about the wires in your house, right? They have that coating on the outside to help protect it, and it helps with conduction. Same thing in your body, right? It is created by the body and can be found in many foods we eat. And an imbalance of certain types of cholesterol in the blood has been theorized to play a role in formation of plaques. Theorized, right? It's a theory, but it's never been proven. And I just showed you with some of that research. Okay. Yes, saturated in the fat in the diet does result in an increase in cholesterol, but it does not cause heart disease. Okay. It does not cause heart disease. And we need healthy cholesterol levels. One of the things, right? We talked about cell membranes. Every cell in your body is made of cholesterol. You need it. If you get injured, if something's going on in the body, if you have leaky gut, right? If there's something internal going wrong where there is damage, you need cholesterol to be able to repair and heal it, right? So what if you do injure yourself and your body's trying to heal? What do you think is going to happen to your cholesterol levels? It's going to go up. It's going to go up. So your body has those ingredients to be able to do that. Once it's healed and repaired, those numbers will now come back down. Okay. I've literally had patients that had blood work done, something happened, they redid blood work, and because they got injured, those cholesterol levels skyrocketed. And we're talking about a week difference between they were normal, they went in for a general checkup, they hurt themselves throughout their back, got more blood work done, and poof, those cholesterol levels went up to try to heal and repair the body. Okay. It's vastly important for our brain. Our brain uses so much cholesterol. It's a big part of our brain. So when we see this, right, we're talking about memory, we're just talking about general function, brain fog, all these normal things. Okay. We need cholesterol. Right. Your brain is about 2% of your body weight, but actually has about 20% of your body's cholesterol. 20% of your body's cholesterol, your brain relies on. Okay. Relies on. It needs it. Okay. And remember these things because these play into the side effects. We'll talk about some of those side effects, but one of the major side effects of taking a statin medication for a longer period of time can be memory issues, can be brain fog, can be things like dementia and things like that. Because if your brain is starved, now it can't function properly. Okay. High total cholesterol levels in late life associated with reduced risk of dementia. Right? So reduce risk of that dementia. That's what we're looking at. So completely the opposite. High levels go into that, right? So again, that's right there. And this was one of my patients that came in and was a perfect example. She was the sweetest little old lady. She was 82 years old. Husband brought her in. She was starting to have um, dementia. She couldn't even remember on the half an hour drive to our office. She would ask her husband like 3 to 4 times, "Where are we going? Where are we going? Where are we going?" And she would come in, and she was just again a bright light, but the memory just wasn't there. She couldn't remember our name, couldn't remember my staff's name, couldn't remember where she really was. But this was her panel that she brought to me, and her doctor circled all of and said, "Everything's good, all good." Okay. She did make it looks like she recommended fish oils. I'm not 100% sure. But right, her cholesterol levels within those range, all the other things were within those range. She's like, "You're doing great." Well, then why do I have dementia? Why can't I remember more than 10 minutes? Things from 10 minutes ago. Okay. So after talking with her and teaching her some of these different things, her and her husband decided together that they wanted to come off of the statin medication that she was on and see what happened. Okay. And her doctor agreed. She's like, well, you've been on it for quite a while. Your cholesterol levels are good, have been good for a while. Let's try it. She came off. Here's what they were shortly after. So they jumped up several points, right? But now they're flagged red, right? But her memory came back. She could remember where she was going. When she walked in our office, she could remember all of our names, right? And we're talking, this is maybe like a month, maybe 3, 4 weeks and of coming off of that medication. Now, I didn't tell her to come off of that medication. I showed her some of this research, showed her some of these different things, and it was their choice. And they talked with their doctor about it. But again, her brain was getting starved of the cholesterol that it needed to function properly. When her body got what it needed, it was able to function better. Okay. So one of the other major things that it plays into is when we're growing a baby, our baby's ability to grow and heal and all those different things, especially when it comes like to brain development. Okay. Cholesterol is found in large amounts in breast milk. Breast milk's primarily fat, cholesterol, and like sugar. That's primarily what it is. So when you see that baby, you need cholesterol, that baby needs cholesterol to be able to grow and just properly develop. When we also look at this again, we talked about the nerve function. Okay, all of our nerves are coated in a myelin sheath, which is cholesterol. So when we look at that, we can look at things like neuropathy, just how our brain communicates with the rest of our body, right? The brain talks to the rest of our body. So when we have that lack in communication, really anything can go wrong because our brain talks to our stomach, our brain talks to our heart, our brain talks to our lungs, it talks to everything. And if we have miscommunication there, we can start to have all sorts of different issues. Okay, so it's super important for the brain, it's super important for our nervous system, which then again can play into so many different things. We all know vitamin D. That's super important. I'll say, especially here in the Midwest, we don't get sunshine for about 6 months, and we really need to consume it in order to get it. But you can get it from sunshine. But the thing is cholesterol is one of the building blocks. You need cholesterol to be able to synthesize vitamin D. So to have appropriate vitamin D levels, you have to have good, excuse me, cholesterol levels. Okay. So you have to have it. And you have to have it for your gallbladder. This is, again, part of your digestion, right? You have your stomach, you have your gallbladder, you have your pancreas. These all release acids and enzymes and different things like that to break down our food, break down our supplements, get all the nutrients out of them. But when we don't have the proper ingredients, it's hard for these organs to do their job. Cholesterol is converted into bile salts. That's what our gallbladder does. We create bile salts, it stores it. When we eat food, it releases it, combines with our food, and starts to break it all down. Now, what's the number one surgery that we've had over the last, I believe it's like 6 years? Gallbladder removals. Okay. More gallbladders get removed than any other thing. That's the number one surgery that we've been having, is just we have gallbladder issues, it's not working, let's just rip it out. Guys, don't rip out your organs. Don't do it. You need it. It's there for a purpose. It has a job to do. There's definitely things that can go wrong when you do, and you got to figure out, why is it having a problem in the first place, right? It's not just say, well, it's broken, let's pull it out. It's super important for our hormone production. Cholesterol is a building block for your hormones. I see tons of people for hormones. My wife sees a lot of people for female related hormones. I see a lot of ladies as well. I see guys with testosterone issues and things like that. It's a building block. You have to have cholesterol in order to make your hormones. Okay. And so, again, another important factor. But let's look at that at the reverse side again with any of these things. If we're low on cholesterol, what can start to happen? We can start to have hormonal deficiencies, and we can start to have hormone issues, right? Are we missing birth control? Are we missing hormone replacement therapy? No. What if we're just missing the raw ingredients to actually try to make them? Okay. And here's where we see it. You see cholesterol at the top here, right? Cholesterol then makes all of these different hormones. Okay, again, it's that building block. Over here, we see testosterone. We see our different estrogens, estradiol, estrone, estriol, right? All these different ones. Estrogen is not a hormone, it's actually a category. But what do we see on the other side? We see cortisol. Okay, this is an important factor. You see it splits. It's a fork in the road. Okay, so what's another major one? And we'll talk about it in a second. Cortisol, stress. Stress can drain your hormones. Okay, if you have an excess amount of stress in your life and you're not taking care of it, you're not doing different practices to try to reduce your stress and reduce your cortisol, it's going to steal your cholesterol. The cholesterol is going to go down that side of the fork in the road. And then what suffers? What's starved out on the other end? Our hormones, our sex hormones. Okay. So stress is a major factor and can drastically reduce our cholesterol levels, which again then affects all the other systems we've been talking about. Right. So this was a 36-year-old male who came to me. Cholesterol levels were fine, things were good, but he had no motivation. He was fatigued. His wife was a little frustrated because there wasn't much intimacy or anything like that. If there even was, there were some troubles in the bedroom. Okay. And so, what was the major problem? It was because his cholesterol levels were actually so low, he wasn't able to make the appropriate testosterone levels. 184 is low. Okay. Low. I don't care what age you are as a guy, you should be able to be over 500. Okay. Ideally 700. Okay. I have plenty of guys in their 60s, even in their 70s, in 600 plus testosterone levels naturally. Okay. No testosterone replacement therapy, anything like that. But again, what happens is we've been misled and we're not taught how to take care of our body and take care of our hormones and do some of these different things to keep our testosterone levels high. Okay. Right. So all these things play into it. Then when we talk about this, right, we all know about statins. So when we look at cholesterol, all the things it does do in our body, those are all the good things, right? Keeps our brain, our nervous system, our hormones, our digestion and gallbladder, all these things, they need it, right? But again, we say, well, what about our heart? And we look at that as, okay, what is statins? Statins lower our cholesterol. Drugs work. They will force the body to do the thing that they're doing. That's what they're designed to do. A statin will lower your cholesterol level. But again, the question is that the right thing to do? Is that the right thing? Okay. And here's how it does it is our body goes through all these processes. I know this is a lot of big words. I can't even pronounce most of them, right? But our body goes through these processes, makes all these different things, and what comes out on the end? Cholesterol. Okay. You can also see something else comes out in the end. So where does a statin work? It works right here at this thing called HMG-CoA reductase. I know that's a mouthful, but that's where it works. It blocks that. It's called an inhibitor. So boom, right? Puts a big old X there. Now nothing below it is made. That's including cholesterol. That's how it reduces your cholesterol levels. Okay. But what do you also see downstream from there? Something called CoQ10. This is something that our body makes that is actually protective for our heart. Okay. We need CoQ10 for our bodies, for our heart, and those different things like that. Okay. So, and you can see here's another person that was on a statin medication and their CoQ10 levels are extremely low. Their CoQ10 is at a high risk level, but their cholesterol is good, right? So you got to look at these things, and it's interesting because when we look at other countries who are actually doing better than us, we look at it, and it's like Europe and Canada and different places. If you're prescribed a statin medication, it's mandatory to also be put on CoQ10 supplement or be given CoQ10 because they know it lowers your CoQ10 and how important it is. Here, it's not required. People just put you on a statin medication. And then every once in a while, I get somebody who knows this and they're like, yep, but I'm also taking CoQ10. I'm like, well, that's good, but let's talk a little bit more in depth. So you have to, if you have or if you are or have taken a statin, you really need CoQ10 because that's going to be depleted as well. Okay. So, okay, I understand what statins do, but my doctor says if I don't take it, I can die of a heart attack or a stroke. Okay, that's what he's telling me. Will they at least improve my chances to help keep me alive? Great question, right? I'm scared, right? They're telling me I might die. I don't want to die, right? None of us do. So what does the research actually show? Okay, so here is something called the lipid trials. Okay, so we looked at, do these statin medications actually improve our chances and reduce our risk of heart attack and heart disease and those different things like that? Here's what the charts show. Okay, we were on a statin medication and placebo. There's not a whole lot of difference between those, like very minimal, very minimal, very minimal. I don't even know if there is a difference there. Very minimal. Here's the real stats. Okay, if anything, that's the most, right? And that's a suspected, right? This is cardiovascular death, non-fatal heart attack, these different things like that, stroke, right? Minimal difference between the people who took a statin and the people who didn't take a statin, okay? But now they use a fancy term and they say, well, it's not the actual risk, it's what's called relative risk reduction, which isn't actually a accurate way to say, well, here's the difference between the two. They do this fancy math problem and it just comes out looking better than what it really is. Okay, here's a Lipitor study as well. And the claim with this is that, well, it reduced our risk by 36% is what they're trying to claim. But when you really look at it, it is super minimal, right? 0.64, 0.79. So there's not a whole lot of actual evidence there, because again, this is what it really looks like. And this is looking at a torvastatin, so a different one. And we're getting the same picture in this. This is a Lipitor study, okay? Again, they found a 36% relative risk reduction. And that's where they can put it on here, right? So if you have risk factors such as family history, means of a large clinical study, 3% of patients taking a sugar pill or placebo had a heart attack compared to 2% of patients taking Lipitor. There's the real study. 3% versus 2%, right? But when you take that, well, you're like, well, it is slightly reduced, slightly, but I can guarantee you that you're going to have side effects if you take it long term. Your brain's going to be starved, your digestion's going to be off, your nervous system isn't going to function right, your hormones are going to be depleted. There's going to be so many other things. But again, 3% compared to 2%, but they blast right there at 36% reduced risk. Again, misleading. Here's on the insert for Lipitor. Lipitor is prescribed drugs used with diet to lower cholesterol. Lipitor is not for everyone, including those with liver. Lipitor has not been shown to prevent heart disease or heart attacks. Right there. It's on the paper. They have to post it because that's what it looks like. Like Lipitor has not been shown to prevent heart disease or heart attacks. Again, another one, right? I'm just drilling this home that it's not, oh, it's just one little thing. Same thing happened again. Rosuvastatin, right? So another type of statin. This is called the Jupiter trials, and this is not that long ago. Same thing started to happen here, right? When we look at this, there's actually, they had to zoom in on the graphs just to try to make the graphs look better. Here's the actual graph when we look at it here. And on this bottom side, it's all the bottom ones. You can barely even see the difference between the two lines in these different ones, but they had to blow it up and expand it and kind of manipulate it to make you see, oh, well, look it. There's actually a difference there when really there's not that much difference. And that's for Crestor, okay? Again, same thing here. Has not been determined to prevent heart disease, heart attacks, or strokes, right? It's right on the label. They have to say that because the research doesn't actually show that that's what it does. Okay. And here's a doc. We saw this guy a couple weeks ago at a seminar, and he's used to be a cardiologist, was in the medical field, was giving people all these things. The more he dove into everything, he actually found out everything he was doing for his patients was wrong. And he started to speak out, and he actually kind of ended up getting kicked out because he was going against what they were telling him. And this is what he said. Okay, this is a medical doctor, a cardiologist. He calls himself the natural heart doc now and helps people. And he says, I never prescribe statin drugs. This is coming from a cardiologist. He says they don't work, they have side effects, they provide false sense of security and kind of keep you in the matrix. This is coming straight from a licensed cardiologist. Okay. And when we look at cholesterol is really like cholesterol as a whole is not an actual thing in our body. It's more of a math problem. And that seems silly, right? Well, we look at it and we're like, well, cholesterol, yeah. Cholesterol is not just a thing. It's actually a consolidation of some things, right? So we look at it, it's something called VLDL, it's an LDL plus an HDL. You've heard of probably a couple of those, right? And when we look at VLDLs, that's another math problem. It's triglycerides divided by 5. Okay, how did we figure that out? Why 5, right? You got to start to ask these questions. And what's interesting is because here's an example. We had normal LDL levels, we had normal HDL levels, we had normal triglyceride levels, but when you do the fancy math problem, our total cholesterol is too high. How can all the individual markers be within normal range, but then our once we do the math problem, that's out, right? That doesn't add up, right? If all of these are normal, the math problem should also be normal, okay? So again, we got to take some of these things with a grain of salt. So what do these things actually do? Again, our body makes them. They have a purpose. Cholesterol, our LDL, or quote unquote bad cholesterol, is made by our liver, and it's like a taxi cab. It carries cholesterol around our body to go to these different sites, and it drops them off, kind of like a taxi cab, right? Delivers it to our cells, our tissues, our organs, those different things like that. So again, it can be used in the cell membrane, our myelin sheath, etc. Okay. And when we look at the research again, things don't add up. The research shows that it isn't actually lipid levels in patients hospitalized for coronary arteries, the analysis of a lot of people. And when we look at the conclusion, it doesn't show that, right? So it actually shows that even with LDL levels less than 130, you had just as much chance to die than the people who had greater than 130, okay? So again, there was no correlation to lower LDL levels that led to that. It gets the bad name because it's a smaller one and it's the one that can get stuck in the arteries, but it's not the LDL, right? We all have LDL. Why does LDL get stuck in one person's artery but not my arteries, right? It's not the cholesterol. There's other things going on. HDL, I like to call these like our garbage trucks. They go and pick up the used old cholesterol, the junk that's in our body, and brings it out so it can get removed, kind of like our garbage trucks. Okay. But, well, LDL is bad, it causes plaquing. Yes and no. Again, same doctor. Here's what he says starts to cause this. Step 1 is we have toxic damage. Our gut microbiome gets thrown off. This leads to things like leaky gut and hyperpermeability in that gut, which can cause inflammation, oxidative stress, immune activation, which leads to further dysfunction, autonomic dysfunction, endothelial dysfunction, and then we get plaque formation. Where's cholesterol in there? It's not in there, right? It starts with toxins. It starts with your gut. Then this cascade of events happens, which ends up affecting your blood vessels, deteriorating your endothelial, your blood vessels. And then we get plaque formation from that because the blood vessels are damaged, not because of cholesterol, because of toxins and leaky gut and these other things. Okay. So again, you got to ask those deeper questions. When we look at triglycerides, this is actually one of the bigger markers that actually connects with something with heart disease. But again, it's not cholesterol. This really comes down to our day-to-day life. It's just unused sugar, right? So are we consuming an excess amount of sugar and are we burning it off? That's what I ask people. How much sugar are you consuming? Do you do anything to burn it off? Do you go for a walk? Do you exercise? Do you sit all day at a computer? What's your job look like? What's your life look like? Are you active? Are you not? Do you eat late at night and then just go right to bed, right? You aren't burning many calories when you go to bed. So if you eat a bunch of food, especially sugar, everybody likes that bowl of ice cream before they go to bed, it just gets stored. It's got to go somewhere. And if you're not burning off those calories and burning off that sugar, this is what it's going to get stored as. Okay. And when we look at these different things, you can have different size LDLs. Again, the LDL is bad, but the way I look at it is, and I'll show you the example, is a good healthy LDL looks like a tennis ball. Unhealthy LDL is like a golf ball. Okay. Golf balls, they're hard, they're dense, they're smaller, they're more likely to get stuck in different places. A good healthy tennis ball can't make it through the tennis net, right? That's what it's designed for. That's what you want. But when you get unhealthy, this can be unhealthy cholesterol come or LDLs come from inflammation, come from toxins, come from, again, you don't have a proper nutrition and things like that to actually make it. Yep, they can be oxidized when there's oxidative stress, things like that. So there's a lot of things that play into it. And again, what's that secret killer? We've seen this. This is all the way back in 2004. The secret killer, surprising link between inflammation and heart attacks, cancer, Alzheimer's, and all other diseases. Inflammation. Okay. I'm listening. What do I do? Okay. So what do I do? You need to look at all these different things, right? We need to remove stress from our body. You need to look other places. You need to ask the question, why is my numbers changing the way they are? Okay. Because a higher cholesterol number could be very appropriate for your situation. If you have hormonal imbalances, if your body's trying to heal, if you have some different conditions, things like that, it may need that extra cholesterol. But let's make sure you're doing the right thing to protect your heart so that the cholesterol doesn't get stuck in there, right? Let's make sure, let's figure those things out. Okay. So we do comprehensive panels. Here's numbers that you probably, LDLP. What is that? That's how many LDL particles there are. LDL size. What size are they? Are they a healthy size? Because if you have a bunch of really good healthy ones, that's okay, right? But how many small LDLPs, right? Those extra small ones, where are they at? This is an average, but we have too many small ones here, right? We're looking at these more in-depth numbers to actually look. This guy doesn't have a healthy amount of good quality dump trucks or garbage trucks, has too many small ones. This person's at risk, right? But we know that to a greater extent than just saying, oh, well, their cholesterol number is high, right? We need to look at these things in greater detail to actually get a full understanding. Because again, that cholesterol as a number doesn't tell us our risk. We need to look deeper and at different numbers and more in-depth numbers. Okay. But again, what do? We look at inflammation in three categories: traumas, physical stress, toxins, chemical stress, and our thoughts, right? Our mental stress. These are the three areas we really need to focus on. Okay. And again, trauma, that can be your posture, that can be sitting, that can be you can be in a car accident. But are you stretching? Are you moving your body, or are you sitting stagnant all day? Toxins, doTERRA is great at this, right? That's the biggest part, is like, let's reduce toxins. We have so many great products that we've even shown here, right? The beard oils, the soaps, the shampoos, the toothpaste. There's toxins in all those things if you just get the quote unquote normal stuff that everybody else gets. So toxic. And those toxic buildup, again, leads to these different issues. And we have to be able to control our stinking thinking thoughts, right? There's a lot of different techniques and different things that we can do to help control our mental stress. All these things add up, all of them affect our body. Okay. So what can you do simply? And again, right, my goal is never to say, let's reduce your cholesterol level, because there's got to be something else going on. But how do we support our body? How do we support our body to be healthy and function correctly? Which then again, we can heal, repair, balance things back out, again, support our cortisol levels, support our hormones, things like that. Here's a great little recipe: 5 drops of lemongrass, 5 drops of wild orange, 5 drops of lavender, right? Where lavender is helping us relax, helping with stress, right? Overall cardiac wellness because it's relaxing, right? We don't want our heart rate high all the time, right? Wild orange is great. It's energizing, gives us energy when we want to move, things like that, right? Lemongrass is helping with that as well. So just really good. You can put it with some fractionated coconut oil and a roller, roll it around, again, neck, wrists, bottom of your feet, different things like that, over your liver, over your stomach, right? So a lot of great things that you can start to do. Okay, here's things that can help with inflammation, right? We just talked about those inflammation. Frankincense is a great one. I think that was one of the, is that the free thing this month? I saw that. Okay, yeah, right? That's a good deal. Frankincense is one of the more pricey ones. So if you can get the free bottle, grab the free bottle, okay? Copaiba, wonderful. Eucalyptus is great at those things too, right? Can really help. I love deep blue as well. So if you have inflammation in your joints, if you have pain and things like that, here's some great ways to try to help with that. Okay. Oh, I don't know why that popped in there. Shinrin Yoku, one of my favorite. Absolutely one of my favorite. We diffuse it almost every day. I have it on roller balls. I put it on every day. It's so good. It's relaxing. It's grounding. The further you get away from nature, they literally show the more unhealthy you are. The more disconnected with nature, the more unhealthy. This is literally translate to forest bathing in nature, you're bathing in nature. Okay. Super, super good for you. Helps with your immune system, helps support your immune system. Again, just enhancing your mood, reduces stress, reduces cortisol, promotes relaxation, and again, that grounding. Okay, how can you help with stress and anxiety? Adaptive is another wonderful one. This is one we use all the time. If there is something that's stressful, we're doing something, put some adaptive on with that roller ball. Balance is another one. Again, grounding blend. Again, that lavender, we kind of mentioned that already, but these are great to help with some of your stress, anxiety, different things like that, right? In, on, and around is what we say. Okay. And you got to start with the basics. Okay. This is the foundational. You need all your vitamins, you need all your minerals, you need your healthy fats and fish oil. Again, the OE, the E omega plus, really good healthy fats, good healthy cholesterol for your body to be able to heal, repair, and do the things that it needs to do. Okay. If you don't take anything, this is where you start. Okay. Start here so your body just has the basics of what it needs. And then based on your situation, you can start to expand on that. Okay. This is the place that you should start if you aren't already. Okay. And then, of course, your diet. Okay. I preach this a lot and it's easier said than done. You can't out supplement a bad diet. You really can't. Okay. Your diet plays into what you put into your body every day matters. Okay. So if you aren't having a good diet, again, you can take the supplements, you can take those things. Are they going to help? Yes, but you're not going to get to the end point that you want if you don't clean up your diet. So eating real food, right? Here's a whole bunch of real food. What's the ingredients in an orange? Orange. What's the ingredients in a strawberry? Strawberry, salmon, right? It's not in a box. It's not overly processed. There's not fillers. There's not toxins. There's not junk, all those different things in there. You want good, healthy fat, avocado, good, healthy fat cholesterol, salmon, good, healthy fat and cholesterol. You want these things, okay? Lean proteins, collagen is great, fruits, veggies, those different things like that. Workout days, you can add a little bit more carbs, a little bit more fruit, things like that for that sugar. But again, if you're going to burn them off, if you eat a bunch of sugar, then you just sit at a desk all day, it's not going to go anywhere. It's got to get stored. Okay. I know we covered a lot. Right on track, Sandy. I know we covered a lot, right? This is a big topic. We looked at a lot of in-depth stuff. We covered a lot of things today. I hope you learned some things. I see a lot of questions in here, so I'm excited to answer those. But I want you to follow us, okay? We touch on a lot of different topics. You can get a hold of us in these different ways. Here's our phone number, website, email. If you're interested and you have questions, more than happy to sit down with you guys, discuss them with your situation, what's going on, how can we help, right? So I'm here to help. Again, we're all at different stages in our health journey, whether you're in pain and doing some of these different things and you want to try to move things forward. If you're already at a good place and you just want to say, hey, how do I optimize this? Great. We're here to help in whatever manner move things forward in the right direction. Again, teach you how to take care of your body. So for joining tonight, one of the things I want to do is I'm offering and extending a deal for you for what we call our cardiometabolic panel. This is that in-depth cholesterol marker panel that you saw. So yes, it's going to look at cholesterol, but it's going to look at all of those more in-depth markers that you need to be looking at. And again, it's going to touch base on other things. What's liver function? What's kidney function look like? What's your hormones look like? What's the other markers, right? It's going to look at all these other things too to see how's our heart, how's our the actually important, the particle size, the small LDL, those things like that. We're going to look at all those markers. What's our inflammation markers look like? But it's going to look how is it affecting the rest of our body? What else is going on in the rest of our body? And then we can start to get to the root of it, right? What's really going on to cause these numbers to go off? So it's going to include that panel plus the consult to sit down with us and go through those results and then make a plan of action moving forward, right? So everything you need for that first step. So if you've never had a test like this, if it runs in your family, if you're on one of these statin medications, things like that, if you have a family history, this is a really important test for you to get the information so we can make the best plan, right? I gave you some recommendations, but everybody's different, right? And if you don't know where your numbers are at, you're kind of guessing, right? Again, there's foundational things that you can do, but if there's other certain things going on, we might have to address it in a different area. If you have gut infections going on and parasites, that looks different than if you have hormone issues, right? But all of those can lead to cholesterol issues and things like that. So I just want to extend that offer. If you are interested, you can call our office. We can get that going for you. Again, I see patients virtually as well. So all this can be done virtually. I can send you the kit. You can get it drawn. We talk on the phone. We go through everything. Anything you need, we can ship right to you. So love to see you in person if you're local, but otherwise, even if you're in California, we can still do it. So thanks for joining, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed. Let me see. Where's the share button? There we go.
All right, we're going to wrap up here. One last time, please take a picture of Dr. Shane's contact information here, and then I'm going to move forward, so please do that with his specials. And so here it is. Please join the Facebook group if you're looking for other content, like Tuesday, we had Dr. Hill on for 2 hours through Dr. Goff's. Both of the Goffs had him on. On the email list, if you're looking for the recording, there's a lot of valuable information on the Discovery Centrals group. So please join those too. Give them, I would guess, 4 to 6 weeks before things are put in action because of their workload. I want and ask everyone that's on the call to go to the bit.ly/grad progress 2026 before you can do the next one, because you may be graduating tonight. A number of yous have done an outstanding job in attending. The other one to register for tonight, bit.ly/continuing ed 2026. A large number of recordings are on the permanent library. Please feel free to click on the QR code and share that with folks that are pertinent to their concerns. And so you're going to go ahead and complete the graduation. You can receive any of those two there, or select the teachable course, which you can gift to others. Again, 4 to 6 weeks before you can expect these, but know that continue to register for the each one, and make sure that you write down that you did as far as recording it, and so that you get these gifts going forward. 3 types of people to purchase and want to live lifestyles. Here is one. We want to live a healthier lifestyle. We want to live longer, healthier. So tonight, we wanted folks that have not been part of doTERRA to get their products and supplements, especially. You've seen what he talked about, the foundation. and that is below wholesale. So if you click this QR code and you select an enrollment kit, that will be, if it's 125, it's a pebble diffuser. And don't forget about the Masters Club code as well. Feel free to call me, text me, or email me if you're looking for a Masters Club code. Please let me know that as well. We'd love to hear from you. I'm going to stop sharing. And there's a lot, like he said, there's a lot going on tonight, but it's so, so, so important. And Dr. Shane, you can pick a number. We had on 122 tonight, and